What about a Ronald Reagan?
I don't have one.
You don't have a
Literally, barely could give like
It's morning again in America.
There's our
Ronald
official.
Reagan, the actor.
That's
like
me. This is a Back to the Future impression.
Why is that Back to the Future?
So that's a line from Back to the Future.
Well, that is indeed.
He's like,
but that's in the Michael J. Fox
president?
voice.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox. Who's president in 1984? Or other way around. Who's president in 1984? Marty, who is it? And then Marty's like, Ronald Reagan. And he goes, the actor?
Listeners, welcome back to the Lost in Postulation podcast. I'm Nicola Volpi, and I am joined by someone who just stepped off of the picket line defying orders from the Podcasting Union Guild to come into work to record this for you guys. It's Neil Fitzpatrick.
I hope you appreciate the sacrifices we're going through here, guys. This is unprecedented. I don't think we've ever done this, actually, have we?
No, I was a bit on the ropes thinking you might not show up. You might, toe the party union line, but
you would think.
You're here.
I'm a scab. I have broken the picket line.
Scab.
It's worth it for the listeners.
Billy Elliot.
Exactly. Now, what the listeners won't know, actually, is that we're recording 2 episodes in 1 week because we plan still to release these in the normal timing, right?
Exactly.
So, in fact, it's only this conversation now that will enlighten the listeners as to our severe or intense dedication to the podcast cause that we're doing an episode here today, only 2 days after the last one came out.
Unreal.
Unbelievable stuff.
And all for you guys.
Yeah. Let's pat ourselves on the back even more. This is what people want to hear.
It's a bit like when you go see Top Gun Maverick and you have the Tom Cruise cameo in the beginning.
100%.
Thank you guys for coming out and taking the time to see this on the big screen. It really means a lot.
I did like that. I don't know why. Yeah.
He spoke to you, didn't he?
Yeah.
As a fellow Scientologist.
Yeah, exactly. Love that. That's an episode as well we need to get into.
You had a big fascination with the Church of Scientology.
Sure did. And a top tip for anyone based in Copenhagen, the main European headquarters of Scientology is in Copenhagen, and it's opposite a very nice Irish bar with tables outside. And a very nice pastime, if you're ever bored, is to go get a pint, sit in the Irish bar, and just watch the
At the Globe.
Yeah, no, it's the Shamrock.
The Shamrock.
So
Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, exactly. Probably what they're named after. And you can sit outside there and just watch the comings and goings of the Scientologists in Copenhagen. Okay. And it is non-stop. Like every 10 minutes, people in suits and ties coming in and out. Who knows what they're up to? I would love to know. But yeah, fascinating.
Well, that reminds me of, do you remember when I lived right across the Jehovah's Witness headquarters?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Very
dodgy. Yeah. Also.
I don't know if but there was always a lot going on.
Yeah.
They were coming in and out. Suits and ties, always in pairs.
Strange.
You never saw them alone.
They're often sent on missions abroad in pairs, actually. Yeah.
Well, that might be a counter-harassment thing, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. Yeah. It's probably one we could get into. The entire new religious movement's topic. Yeah.
Well, and one time I was on holiday in Lanzarote, and I got a call on my phone from a Danish number, and I answered.
Okay.
It was an unknown caller, right? So it had a country code, whatever. And I answered and started speaking to me in Italian. A guy from Jehovah's Witness in Copenhagen.
Whoa.
So what happened here was they somehow got a hold of my number, did like all the search on how to best approach me.
Ouch.
And
Jeez.
Yeah, it was really creepy.
Didn't work, I can imagine.
Well, I blocked the number, but the guy was like, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not in town now. I'm in Lanzarote. It's, oh, great for you that you're taking time, to be on your holiday. I'm like, yes, it is great for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's leave this conversation now.
Yeah, really.
Don't like that. Not a fan.
I don't like, and what I also don't like is I had just changed numbers, so there's a conspiracy there of the phone company feeding this number, selling it down the river.
However they got the number, I don't like any of it, No matter what the explanation is, none of it's good. So
not a fan.
Don't love that.
Well, thank you, Tom Cruise, for that wonderful intro. Let's start off with a mundane, as we do.
Let's.
And we have a mundane coming from the listener mailbag, which is just exploding at the moment.
It absolutely is. And how is it that listeners are able to contribute their postulations?
So funny that you should mention that, because there are various outlets. There is Instagram, where they can find us at Lost in Postulation. There is another social media app with a blue little Tweety bird where we don't have a blue check.
No.
Run by a guy that also launches rockets into space, where they can find us at
Add in postulation.
There you go.
No lost, because
Yeah.
we don't feel too lost on Twitter.
And then our absolute favorite, email. Go
Love
to the
email.
Gmail. Lostinpostulation@gmail.com. You can't go wrong. If you end up in the spam, you end up in the spam. But, you know, we check
It
that
is
from
what it
time
is.
to time.
We do check it out. Yeah.
Our interns do.
The whole team.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So, what do we have?
So we have Danny Tico from Barcelona writing in.
Nice. Gracias.
Exactly.
Or merci, actually, if it's Barcelona, I should say. Yeah.
From the Catalan.
Indeed.
Look at you.
Eh?
Man of the world. Unbelievable.
Many hidden talents here.
Are you a big fan of that area of the Iberian Peninsula?
Sorry to the rest of Spain, but it is the best part officially of Spain.
Okay. Goat autonomous province of Spain?
You would have to think so, yeah.
Okay.
Don't ask me to name any other autonomous provinces, but having been to Madrid and Barcelona, I emerged with a clear favorite.
You're on the Barcelona side,
100%.
seaside vibes, breeze coming in.
Although it does have that rough touristy edge that we don't love, you know, like little pickpocketing, a lot of scams.
On the Ramblas. Many
watch out for
friends that have
Ramblas.
fallen victim to the old Ramblas tricks.
A few watches taken
A
off
few
wrists.
watches taken off a
for
wrist.
one thing. Yeah.
It wasn't us, though.
It wasn't us, thank God. No, but sorry, I'm interrupting the postulation.
But we love Barcelona, despite the pickpocketing on the Ramblas,
We do.
which we have not fallen victim to, fortunately, because we are very cultured travelers.
Cultured is probably not cautious, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah, cautious.
get
That's it.
that travel fanny pack under the belt. Yeah.
You still going around with that?
I should probably, but no, I'm a front pocket guy. I'm like, I've got my wallet and the phone in the front pocket, and I mean, can't go wrong with that.
There you go. You know.
There we go. Anyway,
Pickpocketing hacks. So back to Danny Tico from Barcelona. Danny, thanks for writing in. We're big fans of Barcelona. We're big fans of your work with these postulations.
absolutely.
Danny wants us to postulate about Airbnbs versus hotels.
Oh, great topic.
yeah.
Great topic. Yeah.
In particular within Europe. I'm going to phrase this as a mundane to you. Airbnb or hotel, one we call it.
If we were to jump in a time machine and go back to circa 2016, 17, 18, my answer to you would have been Airbnb all the way, every time, because the saving was fantastic. You could find a lovely, well-located place. Everything would be sorted out for you. A little bit of admin with the, getting in, you have to meet the host or whatever. But once you're in, amazing, great stuff. I have since then, though, been burned, as many of us have, by the mounting prices, first of all. Dublin being a terrible example. I recently had to stay in Dublin over Christmas and was about to book an Airbnb until I realized it was more expensive than a hotel. What is the point? Like, it was absolutely outrageous.
In your hometown of Dublin.
Yeah. Nice pronunciation of Dublin.
Was it all right?
Close, but you could hear that it was it didn't feel natural coming,
I didn't want to offend you.
It's okay. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Yeah. But main point being, it is sick expensive right now. And the meme that everyone's joking about online, but there's no smoke without fire, is you have to freaking clean the whole place now yourself. It's like,
oh, really?
Like the hosts now can have cleaning terms. And it's like, if you don't do these things, we're going to charge you extra. And the things
Get
are,
out.
take the sheets off the bed, take the garbage, the rubbish, like out to the street or whatever. Like do a quick pass with the Hoover, please use a squeegee on the shower, like all these things, right? So again, you're like, okay, I'm paying the same price as a hotel. I'm having to be the housekeeping for this place. And I'm having to deal with all the extra stuff, like, oh, there's a key box. Sometimes it's like an escape room to even get the key to the place. It's like, there is a lockbox, there is a 4-digit code. The code is the same as the number of the house, but please remove one digit. You're like, okay, come on, this is
You love
outrageous.
escape rooms, though, so
Yeah,
maybe
but-
that's what's keeping you in.
Exactly, but like, let's keep the escape rooms in the escape rooms.
Fair,
Sometimes you've come off a long flight, you want to just get into your place, and it's the last thing you need. Some of these lockboxes and all this carry on, and then also, like, I found even more so than hotels, I found that sometimes the properties don't quite match the pictures.
Right.
There's this weird review thing on Airbnb. You can't sort the reviews by highest to lowest,
No.
and all the reviews are amazing, such a brilliant place, absolutely everything is perfect. And I guess it's people are doing that because they want to get the 5-star rating back. And I know
It's like an Uber mutual thing. Yeah.
exactly. And I know you can't see the rating until, but no one, there's this different vibe on Airbnb with the reviews where everything is just amazing, everything is awesome. you
But
know?
also, I think isn't there something there where, as a host on Airbnb, I can kind of select which reviews are visible?
I think so.
I don't want to go out on a limb, but
Nah, I don't want to claim that
Yeah.
either. Now, I know people who are hosts on Airbnb, and they have told me that there is something you can do to be like a super host or something like
Okay.
that. And if you jump through those hoops and take all the right photos and have your house at a certain standard and all this,
right.
then those properties are vetted and like properly good. So if ever I was going on Airbnb, I would look for the superhost ones and go with that, and probably you won't be disappointed. But the issue is price. Still down to it again. Like,
Yeah.
I want to stay somewhere and not have any additional hassle when I'm staying there. It's already stressful enough. And anything to do with please clean the place, take the garbage out, take all this, I'm like, absolutely not.
No.
Sorry, this was a long response, but I'm passionate about this topic. Yeah. So
Well,
as you can hear, I'm hotels all the way.
Well, welcome back, because I didn't even have that 2017, 2018 phase of needing to do Airbnb.
You
Go
never
on
left.
holiday, want to be pampered, want the breakfast in the hotel, want to turn on the TV, experience the local channels without having any clue what's going on.
We like that.
As we do, right? No, big fan of... and hotels, like, we're not talking about the heroes here, right? Because especially if you're booking via like a booking.com or whatever, you're going to end up with a lot of mismatches,
100%.
etc., right?
Yeah.
But the only times where we're actually looking at the Airbnbs and VRBOs is for a much more extended stay. So not necessarily for a holiday, but hey, we're getting out of Copenhagen in the winter to go work over there on this island for a month or two.
Yeah.
Then I have to start scoping out, right? Because you're not going to stay in the 5-star hotel for 2 months. I mean,
I get you.
I
I get
wish.
you. But a thought on that, right? So let's say it's a month that
right?
you're staying. That's like a month's rent you're going to be paying, probably
Right.
equal-ish or something like that.
Right.
Now, if you're doing that through Airbnb, doesn't it just kind of not make sense, because Airbnb is taking a cut of that large payment of like perhaps €2,000 or €1,000 or something like that, 15% or something like that. So wouldn't it be infinitely better to maybe, I don't know, use Airbnb as like a scouting thing to see where stuff is? But then if I was ever having to live a month somewhere else, I would be getting off Airbnb straight away, because that you'll get the price way lower, surely, if you can connect with the host.
If you can do that, right?
Yeah,
And I think it's quite difficult, because then they can, I guess, get kicked off of Airbnb. I don't know what the exclusivity agreements are or something. But yes, in theory, that is a workaround.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not all roses with the Airbnb.
That's true.
Definitely.
I had a work situation recently where we had booked in an Airbnb for a team offsite,
Yeah.
and 2 days before, the guy was like, "Hey, so you can just transfer the money here instead. Let's not use Airbnb." And it was like huge problem, and we canceled the whole thing and ended up going somewhere else. But these scams are running.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Hosts are trying all sorts of stuff,
Exactly.
to get around it. But
No, not a fan of scams. Not a fan of Airbnb at the moment. What I can recommend, though, at the moment is VRBO
What is
for
that?
more extended stays type of apartments, houses, especially houses and villas. So let's say you and Yura want to go somewhere, as you've done, with 3-4 other couples, on a holiday. It's a bit nicer than Airbnb, a bit more professional also in terms of the services you get,
I'm
etc.
a bit surprised. I would consider myself like relatively up to speed on the new stuff,
Hey,
but I've never heard of this.
I like to dabble in the tourism industry. as
I
you
think
know.
if anything is going to take this business down, its name, which is it's impossible to say or pronounce. It's Verbo.
Verbo. VRBO. I imagine villas, rental, bed, something along the like.
Yeah.
But yeah, we took a place in Marbella with that for 2 weeks around Christmas this year, and we have the new delivery on the way in October.
Yeah.
So we needed to make sure we had something that was relatively serviced enough, and that they could also procure, the high chair and all of these types of things. So
Okay.
that's an alternative at the moment. But to be honest, I mean, when I can go hotel, I go hotel. I'm curious if now, with the new delivery coming, with becoming the grumpy old man turned father figure now, as we discussed in previous podcasts.
Indeed. Those words exactly.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
Well, if then those type of stays rather than hotels will become more attractive to me than they are. But who knows?
On this topic, to wrap it up, maybe if listeners are interested in this topic, I have a YouTube video to strongly recommend. It's one I sent you a while ago.
Last summer, I think.
Exactly. So it's from a channel called Modern MBA, and the title of the video is "Why Airbnb Fails to Disrupt the Hotel Industry." And I was, as the title suggests, I was one of those people. Before I saw that video, I was like, "Whoa, I would be worried if I was a hotelier,"
Nah.
And what this video very convincingly shows you is they are not worried at all, and never will be. And it's not even bravado. It's not even like hot air. They literally, you can look at the business case and be like, okay, actually, it's two completely different markets almost.
Yeah.
In fact, even the postulation coming through here, almost presupposes a level of overlap that there isn't with these industries.
Right, that you're selecting between these two things.
Exactly. At least from a business perspective, like the hotels basically aren't worried about Airbnb,
Right.
and they don't think that their customers care about Airbnb, and they're probably right for the vast majority, for business travelers, for all sorts of things.
But that's where I think something that really changed the last 3 years, though, is business travel
Yeah.
has gone down,
That's for sure.
obviously, and not recovered, nor will it to the same
Never.
level it was, in 2019.
Yeah.
And before, that's where they were relying. Those were like business class on a plane.
Yeah.
That's where you're making all your margins, right? Is on business travelers who aren't spending their own money. So it's quite obvious. That going down probably is the only thing that can hurt hotels at the moment, I would say. But still, it's not share stolen by Airbnb and the like, right?
Yeah. I mean, what you'll see in the video as well, it's a franchise model, right? So if I was a hotel the owner of one of those franchises, I'm chilling because, like, okay, maybe I have a few too many franchisees at the moment, so you just buy them out. You just let them go.
Yeah.
So there's no like risk here that they have too many hotels or anything, because they'll just cut them down.
It's
you know?
McDonald's, baby.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's the dream. If you ever
Well, it's
ever
a bit
want to
late
start
for
a
that, but
franchise, I'm all in. But great question. I love it.
Thank you, Danny Tico from Barcelona. And listeners, keep writing us in. We're doing a lot of travel postulations at the moment.
Time of year, it must be.
It's got to be. You have one to share from a listener from the mailbag as well, I believe.
Sure do, yeah. So like my my little holiday journal, which I shared, it garnered a lot of responses actually, and one strong response from listener Cecilia, who is a listener here in Copenhagen.
Okay.
And she reached out saying she'd be really curious to hear our Paris versus Bali comparison, because I flagged, Bali being the absolute tourist, don't want to say hellhole, but yeah, at least it was like the tourist apocalypse over there. And shocker, I have actually never been to Paris as a tourist.
Nope.
I've been through Paris, going to Disneyland, but I've never been in Paris itself. So I can't actually speak to that. But you have been in Paris, right?
A lot of Paris.
Yeah.
As a tourist, also for work. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan. I've never been a huge fan of Paris, of France in general. Sorry to the French listeners, but I'm not really sorry. I mean, you guys don't really treat your tourists very nicely. So that's that.
Exactly.
I think, but it remains, what I will say about Paris is the city is built to impress.
Yeah.
And if you're just looking at it, bird's eye view, the nice buildings, the nice areas, Champs-Élysées, etc., it is a beautifully built city with those broad avenues, etc. Then the issue is reality hits. It's a tram strike one day, trash strike the next day.
Yeah.
Then it's the subway metro on strike. Then you go to Charles de Gaulle as an airport, which is basically a Soviet brutalist structure. For some reason, it's not like they were part of the Soviet Union then. In fact, Napoleon invaded Russia,
I guess Charles de Gaulle was built in the 80s, maybe, or like upgraded in the 80s. Because brutalism was all the rage.
That must be it. So, like, they can do better. I don't think they really care. It's like when you go into a store and they expect you to speak French when you come from the US, and it's like, well, really? It's a city. And that's the thing is, I think the Parisians are very aware that they are the epicenter of France. Naturally, they think then they're the epicenter of the world. But they also, as a result of that, they think they can go without tourists, which probably to an extent is true. It's not like a Venice, which exists just for that, right? It is the capital of the second largest economy in Europe. And probably that creates a bit of the friction.
I can imagine. It is the most visited city for tourists in the world, though, right? So
must be.
If you were to turn off the tourism overnight, I don't think they would be just fine. There would be a lot of people out of work. I think, it was a fair point. Cecilia, her point on it was Paris is overrated, 100%. Beautiful city, but so many issues, and it does smell like urine, unfortunately.
There you go.
And that's
we don't like the smell of urine.
And she's half French, actually, so she would call it like she sees it on this one. Yeah.
Love it. The other half bringing some sense.
And if I can add for Cecilia, because she dealt with two topics from that episode. That was one of them. And the other was the night train. So remember Zitian wrote in about the night train, and he signed off basically saying he might consider it going north. So Cici actually did that. Funny enough. So she said the night train from northern Sweden to Stockholm Awesome experience. And with hot water.
Going down.
Yeah. So I believe her and her boyfriend did a big long hike of like 3, 4, 5 days in like proper up north Sweden.
Mountainy Sweden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the way back was the night train. And awesome experience. So it was a 3-sleeper, but there was no one else in their carriage. So basically a private carriage. Shared shower, but no breakfast, but still amazing. So there you go.
Okay.
Positive reviews from the night train downwards to Stockholm.
Okay. Now we got to get you out to Paris, and then we got to get up to the north of Sweden with Zitian.
On the night train, 100%.
On the night train.
So the travel postulations, yeah, they've come in thick and fast.
Unreal. And I have one more before we cut to a break here.
Yeah.
Loyal listener, Roy from West Virginia / Chicago / Cleveland. He
Changes every time.
keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
We never know where he is. He was just in Lisbon as well. He wrote us a bunch of stuff. I'll cover one here.
World,
exactly.
Roy.
Roy wanted to write in about Morocco.
Oh, yeah.
And he said he had been to Morocco in 2019. Was not very impressed, would not recommend it, and went as far as to say he just didn't really feel safe there.
Yeah.
But it gets worse. He said it was medium vibes.
I think he said mid vibes. So
Mid vibes, yeah. That's rough.
To get with the parlance of the Gen Zs once again. Yeah, it is rough. And to be honest, this is why I raised it, right? Because on the last episode, you were all in on it. And I
still am.
I could have sworn I've heard a few people come back saying, like, glad
Yeah.
I went, but like, and mid vibes, as you say, like it really sums it up. You know?
And that's the part that hurt me the most, because if it had just stopped at don't feel so safe, the infrastructure isn't really yet up to the mass tourism levels they need, etc. But mid vibes, that's kind of, because it's all about the vibes.
That's the death knell for any tourist destination,
right?
If the vibes are off. Yeah.
I mean, that's what, for example, killed Bali for you. Was
the
those
vibes are
those vibes.
Those
right?
vibes are off, and then some in Bali. Sorry to say, at least in the areas I was in. I'm sure it's great in others, but yeah, I mean, I remain skeptical. You're going right to you're going to Morocco
At some point.
It's not booked, but
it's not booked. But it's got to be done because I owe it to the listeners.
Well, you went all in on it. Like you doubled down.
Yeah, I've doubled down. So it's got to happen. And
Yeah.
I got to try to make it happen this year still. So I might be there with a 2-month baby just on New Year's, making it happen.
Absolutely. Good luck with that. Jeez. Actually, yeah, New Year's probably would be fine, right? But
well, if it's mid vibes, I don't think it
not
changes much at
promising.
New Year's.
Not
Maybe
super
it's even a
promising.
bit colder. So yeah, Morocco. I mean, do it for me, please. Just make it happen. Get the tourism ready. It's a balance, though, isn't it? Right? Because the moment you do start to get there, you quickly turn into mass tourism, and you end up with your Bali situation.
guess,
So there's that fine line.
I think there's a period of like maybe 1 to 2 years when a place gets discovered and talked about in social media until it gets overrun. I've seen places like Georgia had this a few years ago. Where else?
The Switzerland of the Caucasus.
Kyrgyzstan had this a while as well. But people were saying, "Oh, you gotta go to Kyrgyzstan.
Right.
Amazing
Off the beaten
nature,
path.
all this." And then it gets super popular for a while, and everyone goes, "It's all on Instagram, etc." Right? So
Right.
I don't know. Maybe Morocco is that now, or maybe it was. But let's see what's next.
Let's see what's next. And a tip: don't choose your travel destinations based on what you see on Instagram,
Please.
because that'll
Yeah.
make everything.
I've made that
great.
mistake a few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there you go.
There we
Wow.
are. Let's cut to a break, and then we'll be back with a little bit more of mailbag for the listeners. Listeners, welcome back. Continuing here with our mailbag. This might just be rebaptized Roy's Corner because he did not stop at Morocco.
MVP of our mailbag right now.
Unreal. He came back with a postulation, or more a comment, about playgrounds, saying that the merry-go-rounds are a hard sell.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and apparently he had, a traumatic experience as a kid. He said he was fighting for his life on these merry-go-rounds. Yeah, I don't know how much hyperbole was in there, to read between the lines, but he says a hard sell on the merry-go-rounds, which we didn't discuss much during that conversation.
It flew under the radar, but had it come up, I would have been actually a strong buy on merry-go-rounds.
Why is that?
All the spinners. I just think they're great. So from the child and parent perspective, both win in this scenario. Why? Because the child, all they have to do is sit still and be spun, and they're having a great time. 10 out of 10 experience. They get a bit dizzy. It's fun. For the parent, all they have to do is stand still and use one arm to like spin the thing around at best, give it a few hard swings, it's fun. And then momentum takes it from there, you know? So they only have to spin it a few times and then they can chill while the kid just goes round and round. It's not like the swing where it's like a continuous push if the kid doesn't know how to use the swing.
Yeah.
And it can accommodate more than one child at a time. You can load that thing up with kids.
So is that your goat, actually?
I was big on slides, and I think I still
you're
am
the slide
big
man.
on slides.
Yeah.
But I do think spinners, like any of the spinny ones, merry-go-rounds. You even have, when I was Googling this topic, which of course I did in preparation for last week's episode, you can get these things called inclusive merry-go-rounds now, which are level to the ground and have a slot for wheelchairs to like come in and kind of slot into, you know? So it's one of the more inclusive playground toys because, or whatever you call them, equipments, because the other ones like the slide or the climbing frame, sorry, if in a wheelchair, it's a no-go. But this one actually is fully accessible. So I'm going to disagree with Roy on this one. I am a full buy on the merry-go-round.
Well, there you have it. I have no big feelings about it, but maybe that's one I come back to you on next year.
Yeah, let's see once you've had it. There's a good one near Fredericksburg. I can point you in the direction of. Actually.
Okay, but now you need to stop because when I challenged you on why you were going to so many children's playgrounds, you said because you had a much younger brother who does not live here. So why do you know the children's playgrounds here?
Full transparency. If I'm on a walk with you and we walk past the playground and it's empty, we may go on a swing or go on around. Like, okay, sorry, sue me. It's we're not breaking any laws. Okay, it's all above board.
Who would think that?
No. Thank you.
So, and thank you, Roy, for writing that in. That hard sell. Roy also had one final thing.
Nice.
We mentioned, for some reason, the new Mission Impossible coming out, that it was number 6 or 7. I don't
Franchises,
even know.
yeah.
Because we were talking about franchise movies, right? And we said that we both kind of stopped at Ghost Protocol, which was like number 4. To which Roy said, disgusting, no loyalty. What do you have to say for yourself and for me?
I'm now becoming accustomed to Roy's use of hyperbole, so I'm not gonna get overly worried about it. But I think it's actually I kind of have to cop some responsibility to this because when after the episode I did Google to double check, was I right? Was it 7? It is 7, and I was like, shit, I should probably watch these actually because apparently I've been sleeping on them, and not just because Roy says it, but like everyone apparently online.
Apparently they've gotten better, progressively.
Exactly, because if you look at IMDb, first one good reviews, second one quite bad reviews. Mission Impossible 2.
I grew up with those two.
Exactly, and that probably would have been what stuck in my head about Mission Impossible, where I was like, oh, isn't the first one good, but then they get bad from there. But Ghost Protocol was good, as I recall, and I never watched the other ones. So if they're also good, then yeah, maybe I've been missing some Mission Impossible.
Those are some of the few films people actually crash into the cinema to see.
Exactly,
nowadays, so.
Exactly. And loyalty. The interesting one about loyalty, isn't it interesting how we are, with Tom Cruise, we're willing to let go of the whole Scientology thing and just be like, you know, great movies, great guy, you know? Because that's always is a little, like I could never call myself really fully a Tom Cruise fan because of the Scientology stuff, you know?
Well, it is interesting because there are so many artists, musicians, actors, actresses, etc., that you write off their performances because of, you know, the baggage from personal life, tabloids, whatever. But that seems to have never bled in for Tommy.
Not really sure why. It's
probably that good. I mean, if you look at him as a movie star, he's the movie star of his generation.
Yeah, and he's had his weird ups and downs. Remember, like jumping on the sofa and Oprah and stuff. You know, like he's had moments where he's less or more liked, let's say. But his net favorables, right? If he was a politician, I would say his net favorables as a movie star is probably top tier right now. Yeah. Like, who is higher? Who's more beloved? Like, I can't think of many. Brad Pitt, maybe.
Yeah, Brad, who also has his baggage as has been coming out lately.
Formula One.
I found myself the other night defending Ben Affleck to the death to Maria before we were going to sleep. I don't know why I always fall into... I have such a soft spot in my heart for the guy, and I don't know why.
I have sympathy in a weird way for him.
A lot.
But it's weird that why do I feel sorry for him? It's like, I guess he's had a tough time. He's with J-Lo now, but it's been ups and downs, right? He is famous for that meme, you know, where he's like smoking outside and just looking absolutely despondent, you know? So that's, when I think of him, that's kind of what comes to mind. I also don't think he did a great job as Batman from the DC clips that I've seen. You know, it just wasn't a fit, you know, from the start. So I generally have feelings of sympathy towards him, but do I think he's an absolute smash hit actor and I love everything he does?
You loved Argo, the one he directed and
Certainly
starred in.
Did not love Argo. Thanks for reminding me. But like even Gone Girl, which I thought he did well in.
Yeah, great film.
He was fine.
Steven Fincher. directed by David.
Not Dave. Oh, another classic for the book. We haven't had any big mistakes in a while, actually, so that's good. Yeah. But is that it from our mailbag now empty? Can we shake out the mailbag?
No, it'll never be empty, I'm afraid, now, because that's where we are. I have a quick reverse mailbag before we move on, though.
What is this?
Well, that's me writing to someone.
Okay.
For the listeners who aren't acquainted, that little intro music you hear at the beginning of every episode, in between some of the segments, that's provided to us by Dr. Delight.
Yeah, we've been shouting him out a bit now the last few episodes.
Yeah. So we wanted to know a bit more about this guy providing us with this music at such a fair price called Dr. Delight. So I found him on Instagram with our Lost in Postulation account, and I wrote him.
Tracks him down. Sherlock Holmes over here.
Exactly.
Wow.
Just kind of typed in Dr. Delight.
Amazing.
There was one of them. And I write, "Hi, Dr. Delight. Just wanted to let you know that we use your track, Enough Said, as the theme to our podcast show.
Mm-hmm.
Keep up the great work. You can listen to our latest episode here. Semicolon. Throw in the episode."
Love it.
I mean, I think 10 minutes later, I look in the DMs, as they call them, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for the support. Praying emoji, Can't wait to check it out.
Nice.
And I put a little heart to his comment.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Dr. Delight, certified medical doctor. Thank you for listening.
PhD.
Absolutely. He is literally saving lives every day with his delight. Love it. If he's listening now, hello, Dr. Delight. Thank you for the music. And more to come.
Thank you for the music.
We can cut in some ABBA here if we can avoid getting sued for using it under copyright. But I had a thought on this, actually. At a certain point, we need to go to a new theme song, after, say, a certain amount of time. It's
do we?
Well, you got to keep it fresh, You can't have the same theme song forever.
Very strategic discussions live on the podcast.
Live on air. So maybe Dr. Delight has one that he'd like to propose. Maybe we can find one ourselves. But in any case,
craft one especially for us.
Oh, that'd be good. But I'd like to keep it within the Dr. Delight universe.
Right.
The Delight verse or whatever.
Loyalty, as Roy would say.
Yeah. But he gets us, or we get him, more to say.
I think so.
So yeah.
Symbiosis.
Indeed. So yeah, let's see if we can find whenever that day comes. I'm not saying let's change it now, but when we get tired of the theme song, we will need a new one, and I think the doctor can provide.
PhD. So I'd say we've emptied the mailbag as much as we can.
Fantastic. Well, then, just before we move on, I had a question for you, sir.
Yo.
Because I'm a big music fan. I've been attending some concerts myself recently. However, there was one concert I didn't attend that you did last night, I believe.
Yes, I did.
Which was the boss, Bruce Springsteen.
The boss, Bruce Springsteen, and the E Street Band.
And the E Street Band, of course, featuring Steve Van Zandt, among others. But it was in Parken. It was in Copenhagen. It was a sold-out crowd, I believe.
Yeah.
2-night show. So this was the second night of 2.
Second night of 2.
You said you had some thoughts related both to the band and the performance, which was very positive, and then something else that you said you would save for the show. So let's see what that is.
Yeah. Well, Bruce Springsteen, E Street Band, 10 out of 10.
Amazing.
I'd never seen them live. Always wanted to. Grew up with Bruce on all the time. One of the few concerts where I could be there for 3 hours, sing along to almost everything.
Amazing.
So that's just amazing experience. They're having so much fun up there, actually. And if you think about it, they've been touring starting in the US and then coming to Europe since February. Bruce is 73. Okay.
Yeah.
Silvio Dante, Steve Van Zandt is even 76 maybe. But they've known each other forever. His wife's up there with them. There's 19 people on the stage in any given moment.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Saxophone is Clarence Clemens' nephew now.
Yeah,
That's super cool touch. He's activating everyone, really getting them involved from the band, giving them their solos, giving them their space, which is something when you just listen to Bruce. So it's a touring band, the E Street Band, right? It's not a recording band,
live,
let's say. So they're all about the live performances. Yeah. So they're just having a blast. When they're then going off the stage, he's clapping each one of them on the back, saying, "Hey, great show tonight," all of this. And he loves it. At 73, and it's kind of that whole Michael Jordan thing of you think, they've got to have an off night. I mean, you've been touring for that many months, doing the same thing in that same stadium just 2 nights before. But it's that Michael Jordan thing of, these people, they paid for a performance. We got to give them the same performance we gave to all the others on the good days. Right?
Yeah,
professionalism, indeed. So that, super impressed by, super happy to have seen Bruce, because it could very well be the last time, right? Most likely. Those vocal cords are quite used up. Now, the other aspect of it, stadium crowds for concerts. And this is where someone like you that keeps his foot firmly jammed between the door that separates us from us mere mortals from the music industry.
Love that description.
Can shed some light on. I think it's the second time I give that description. So,
second of many, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Stadium crowds. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole tech acoustic side because, quite frankly, I would never notice the difference. I have no clue. The energy, the stadium needs to give a lot back to the band, I think. And if that's not there, it kind of kills off a bit the atmosphere of such a concert. So if you're not, we were standing, right? In the, what do you call it? That, not the mosh pit, but, parterre, right? But not at the front. So not at like this golden circle. There is kind of, I think, where all the fun and the diehards are a bit, where you think there's a great atmosphere because all you see is what's around you. Where we are, there's also all the people sitting and everything, which actually we're remaining sitting. Now, sure, older than average crowd to a Bruce concert, just demographically. But I think I would have more fun if everyone around me was also singing along to everything. I mean, it didn't stop me. I was air guitaring. I was all over the place, sweating through my shirt, just like the boss himself. But there was something there for me that made it not as fun as a result of the crowd not being so into it.
I'm not shocked to hear that. And I think it's inevitable when you go above a certain number of a crowd, you just won't have diehards, or at least the distribution of the diehards will be too scattered for there to be a guaranteed buzz, right? Right. And really, that's the situation where you kind of need to make your own fun a bit, like you did, just don't care, and then B, get lucky and hopefully be next to some other diehards, Right. The best experiences I've had with large capacities like that, unfortunately, sorry to say, it's in the Golden Circle. And I've sprung for tickets to the Golden Circle before. Kendrick Lamar I saw in Golden Circle. Amazing. The other great example was, I wasn't in Golden Circle for Guns N' Roses in Parkin, but I was as far forward as you can be. So I got more or less the same experience. And then I saw the Chili Peppers in Ireland at a large arena kind of style thing. And that was a crazy one. I got there so early, before all the openers and anything had even happened. And they were just like giving people Golden Circle wristbands because apparently they hadn't sold enough tickets. So they were just, let's fill this Golden Circle. Because otherwise it's going to look really weird to have this like empty space, right? So that's one top tip maybe, if depending on how dedicated our listeners are, if they're going to a gig that they know has a Golden Circle and they don't mind waiting a little bit, just get there super early. Get there at doors basically and see, you might get lucky and just kind of see if you can wander in. Because I have to say, there's never been a time I've regretted Golden Circle.
It does change everything, right?
100%. And the atmosphere is fantastic. You're with everyone, knows every word, like and the cool thing is, if you want, you can take a step back as well, because there's always in the Golden Circle there is still a little bit of space behind you towards the barrier, so you can just take a few steps back if you need a little break, and then back in you go. Amazing. So I think had you sprung for Golden Circle, I think you would have had the exact experience you wanted. And I didn't hear how far back you were, but I guess you were like 50% or like 60 or something.
Maybe say from the edge of Golden Circle 25% back. So
I'm actually surprised then that there wasn't a better atmosphere.
But I think that might be also a bit cultural and demographic as well, maybe in terms of, I mean,
he does bring in all, like every age basically, from his age down, but and even above his age probably. But it's not a guaranteed party, unfortunately, at Bruce, I would say.
No, not in that. I mean, for me, it was, again, great time. I just had kind of that reflection on, what was missing, nitpicking a bit.
Sure.
I'll tell you what was missing, though, and that's, 2 hours and 45 minutes of non-stop music.
It's outrageous.
And he still managed, I wrote down the songs, to fill out an album of songs he didn't play that night, most of which were hits.
Wow.
You ready for this?
What? Yeah, go on. Yeah.
The River.
He did. So these ones he did not play.
He did not play.
Wow.
Born in the USA.
What? No, it didn't play.
I'm on Fire.
Wow.
I'm Going Down.
Jeez.
Human Touch. Brilliant Disguise. My Hometown. Fire and Hungry Heart.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, that just speaks to his catalog, though, that he has.
And that's the crazy thing, right? So still 2 hours, 45 minutes where I'm singing along to everything. And yes, I'm a borderline, diehard or whatever. But still, the fact that the choices they have to make to curate what they're going to go on tour with, like, that's crazy.
Although there's a website you can check, setlist.fm. You can see what he's played at that gig and every other gig on this tour.
Yeah.
And I think what you'll find is they're probably mixing it up massively from night to night.
Apparently not as much on
really?
this tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there was actually some apparently curation work behind the reason of why these songs were put together. There were like themes throughout, right? So like there was the whole first stretch, which was night songs.
Wow.
Like songs with night in it, and he did a wonderful cover of Night Shift.
Did he talk about that when he was performing? Like,
no, not really.
Okay,
not really.
It went unsaid.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Just did the job, right? And no, but really, really great. And then there was the last hour. You're like, oh, he still hasn't done Badlands and all of these, and then Born to Run, and all of a sudden it's all of those strung together.
Yeah,
and it's just
the bangers.
Amazing.
Yeah, the victory lap.
Exactly, the victory lap. So no, I mean, really cool experience. And I just find it amazing that that's someone that my own father saw in concert during Born in the USA tour in the 80s.
Insane.
And I'm seeing him now.
The longevity.
Like 40
There's not many like him. Not many like him.
No, exactly. And also to have, I mean, we've discussed Bruce on the podcast before, but like, if you listen to all the albums, like Nebraska, a totally different album from Born in the USA, for example. He's even played with the genres, and fascinating guy. Still lives 15 minutes from his hometown in New Jersey. Never moved.
Jersey boy. Yeah.
Jersey boy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, on that note, we've thoroughly not only shaken out the listener mailbag, but also caught up on any recent cultural events we've attended.
Exploits.
Absolutely. So I think with that, we jump to one more quick break, and then we'll come back with a quick topic on some famous awards. Listeners, welcome back once again to the final segment of today's episode of Lost in Postulation. We are getting in, as I said before the break, to a favorite topic of ours, which is, of course, awards. We love those awards. The Oscars in particular has a special place, I think, in our hearts.
Yeah, for better or worse.
For better and worse, yeah. Although, second place, I think, is the Emmys for me.
Yeah, and probably actually edging into first in terms of cultural importance these last few years.
Indeed. A little bit one-sided, the Emmys, are what I found over the years, because each year there's really only about 3 or 4 shows that absolutely smash it. And like when it was Game of Thrones, it was Game of Thrones, and when it was, I don't know what else.
Well, Sopranos was just that for 8 years.
Clean sweep in every category, right? Yeah. And of course, no surprise, it'll be Succession this year. However, perhaps
good competition, though.
Good competition, and some good, some good categories where Succession doesn't really compete as much, where we may see some interesting upsets. So, what we thought we would do here in this final section, because there is still some time until the actual Emmys, and lots can happen between now and then. We've seen basically most of the relevant shows, I think, ourselves.
Between us
we have, and we had a quick discussion offline over the last week just about who we think might win, what are the easy calls, what are some potentially close races, etc. But let's not go there for now. Instead, what we thought we would do is ask the listeners for their take on who they either want to win or maybe think will win. Let's see how that shakes out. And we did that via our social media. So the magic of Instagram, where we can run some polls. That's exactly what we did, and we got some answers from the listeners.
We did indeed, Neil. The first one was, who should win Best Drama Series?
And as a reminder, the nominees for that one.
Succession, The White Lotus, The Crown, Better Call Saul.
And I think there's probably a couple more, but
there's a couple
also
more,
ran,
but,
let's say.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we reveal the listener take on this, I think is your take as expected on this?
I think yes.
Yeah.
I think Succession for me. Although I think White Lotus, that second season of White Lotus, in any other year without that masterful final season of Succession, would have actually probably won this.
100%. And the reason they'll lose it on top of that is final season versus non-final season.
Yeah,
right?
probably.
So that like the Emmys, they know that the way it is, that like this is their last chance to give any recognition to Succession. So they'll go all in on it. And we know Mike is already cooking up season 3 in Thailand for White Lotus. So it's like, okay, he'll get his chance next year, And
it's also debatable whether White Lotus should be in this category for drama series, 1, instead of comedy, but 2, why each season of White Lotus doesn't really get seen as a limited series.
Yeah, how many episodes was it? Like 6?
Well, 6, but there's, apart from Jennifer Coolidge, there was no common thread. So
yeah, between them,
they're almost different shows, right, in a way. But on the other hand, I mean, same creative team, etc., right?
No, it's true. And yeah, conceptually very simple. But no, you're right. Like it you could argue it's a limited series, but I guess they know they always apply, right? The production teams can choose where to apply for the show, and sometimes you do see also in the Oscars you see some really weird things going in for comedy. Like there was like that Matt Damon movie when he was on Mars that came in as a comedy.
The Martian.
Yeah,
the one where he was on Mars.
Exactly, purely playing the odds, knowing that they might get an Oscar if they go that way. So I get that too. But I'm with you basically that Succession, sorry to say, it's no competition. They'll walk away with this one, and big congrats to White Lotus for a very strong season.
Absolutely, Mike White.
Also,
fans.
Better Call Saul was in there, right?
Yeah. Do you want the results?
Yeah. What do the listeners say?
From our listeners, 60% to Succession.
Yeah. That could be higher even.
Could be higher.
Yeah.
30 to White Lotus.
Wow.
10% to Better Call Saul.
Someone loves Better Call Saul out there in our listener base. Yeah,
exactly.
It was good. It was, and
0% to The Crown.
Yeah. I haven't watched it, but like
not a single vote.
Does not do it for me. Yeah.
Well, I thought you were a huge fan of like the UK
British
royal
royalty.
family.
You would think. Yeah, shocker. But there you go. So I think that one is pretty one and done, or it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And I think there is something here, because you mentioned like why isn't Succession higher? And that's a realization you and I have actually come to throughout season 4 of Succession, is that not as many people as we thought actually watch Succession.
Very strange. There's
very loyal following, but it's not to the levels of what some other things have been.
It's shocking to me though, really. And I guess I don't know why, but I keep meeting people where I'm like, oh, well, Succession, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, what is that? Succession. What is that?
Yeah.
And like,
how do you spell that?
Yeah. They're like, what is that about? And it's like, what? Like, it's the only thing that anyone...
Do you live under a rock?
But it really, I guess, says that we just have such an echo chamber, us, with the stuff we watch, that we all talk about it to each other, and that's it. But if you're not in that echo chamber, you'll maybe never come across it,
No, exactly.
Weird.
Yeah.
But so that's an easy one.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think, because I haven't seen it, is Better Call Saul there because of its final season, or is it there because they're giving the whole thing praise for ending?
That certainly helps. I always think the final season thing helps. I do think that Better Call Saul's best season is its final season, though.
Okay, well, there you go.
I do think it deserves to be.
It's a 9 on IMDb.
That's
weighted average.
That's a little bit generous, I would say. But it's good. Like, it's really, really good.
Okay.
But it's not like Sopranos, The Wire, Succession. It's not in that. It's not in that conversation for me. Anyway.
Well, it's not HBO. So.
Some of our listeners think it is, so I'd love to hear.
Yeah,
otherwise,
I'd love to hear more, because there's more love coming for Better Soul in later.
Yeah.
But the next one is who should win Best Comedy Series?
Yes.
For which the top 4 were Barry, The Bear, Ted Lasso, Abbott Elementary. Basically, I mean, you have Barry from HBO. This one is quite diverse. The Bear, Disney Plus, I believe, /FX. Ted Lasso, Apple TV Plus. Abbott Elementary, I'm not sure, but I don't think it's HBO. So I think all from different networks, which is quite interesting.
And rare for this, because across the nominations, I think it was HBO all the way, mostly. Yeah. There was even some categories where it's just HBO.
Yeah, it's like just Succession and White Lotus. Fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, question here. First of all, what is The Bear? I'm showing my ignorance.
So The Bear, I haven't seen The Bear. I've been told to watch it. So last year was the first season. Now they just came out with a second one. From how I understand it, top chef in Michelin restaurants, whatever, starts a food truck business. That's the base premise, is kind of my understanding of it.
Okay.
And everyone who has seen it raves about it.
Okay. So I'm open to watching it. I need to get Disney Plus back again, which is,
Yeah, well.
Bit annoying, but okay.
You got Atlanta on there too. So
yeah, I've heard
give
this.
Atlanta
I think I've been gone long enough now that there's enough on it that would justify it.
To last you a couple months, right?
I'm also one of the 3 people in the world who hasn't seen Ted Lasso, so I need to get, what is it?
Apple TV Plus.
Oh man, yeah. I just so much catching up to do. But didn't Ted Lasso sweep it last year? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, potentially the last 2 years on comedy. So they killed it.
This is my only reflection here, that I feel Ted might be running. Also, I've heard the quality has dropped a bit.
The third season wasn't the best season.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think there is something with Ted Lasso that it is so feel good.
Yeah.
That is heartwarming to give it an award.
Oh, it'll pick up a few, I think. Maybe some acting or so.
But they did, I do also have to say, on this third season, without spoiling, they did also touch on some tougher subjects. I mean,
Okay.
we're talking mental health, things like this, which isn't very easy for a comedy to do. That doesn't mean it should win. Just something I caught.
Well, what do the listeners think will win?
So the listeners, 0, no votes to Abbott Elementary.
I don't really know what that is, but
I don't either.
Yeah, okay.
We need to do our jobs better.
We do, yeah.
We need to watch all the content.
Do we though?
Like we tried for the Oscars.
We got pretty close.
That was intense.
I got there afterwards, but yeah.
Barry, 12% only, which I just finished binge watching with Maria.
Yeah.
We watched the whole thing over like 10 days.
That's crazy.
Loved it. The Bear, 38%, edged out slightly by Ted Lasso with 50%. So if we would keep this up until September, I mean, The Bear, people seem to love it.
Wow. Yeah, but I'm also not surprised to see that kind of fervent support for Ted Lasso. It really seems to have like this base of support, which just doesn't go away. Yeah.
We have a Ted Lasso magnet up on our fridge with the word believe over.
Love it.
That's how much I buy into.
It is feel good, isn't it? Yeah, that is the whole
Feel
thing.
good. It's inspirational. It's all.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was most likely the final season.
Okay. Not official. That might
Not
work against
official.
them. See, they should have announced it if they wanted those Emmys.
But Brett Goldstein, who plays the Roy Keane-inspired character on Ted Lasso, your fellow countryman, Roy Keane, your idol as a boy, I would go as far as to say.
Yes.
He wrote Shrinking, which is the other Apple TV Plus comedy with Jason Segel and Harrison Ford about the therapists, which is quite funny. So just a little note there. I actually recommend Shrinking. So there's a lot for you to chew on Apple TV
A lot
Plus.
to catch up on, yeah.
The next one, Best Actress in a Drama Series. You got Sarah Snook for Succession, Elizabeth Moss for Handmaid's Tale, which I didn't know kept going until this year.
Shocker.
Bella Ramsey, the young Bella Ramsey of The Last of Us, and Kerry Russell in The Diplomat. You didn't watch The Diplomat.
Didn't watch The Diplomat. I think Bella Ramsey did well to get a nomination there. So that's, and she won't get it, and she's very young. So like, there'll be more in her career. She'll get one eventually.
Yeah, Bella.
But I think she did a great job. It was a hard role. A lot of focus. Like she was on camera the whole thing, like the whole time. And she hasn't done that much. It's like she did Game of Thrones, where she was one of the Mormont, family. But like, she hasn't really done that much like big TV. So I think she did really well to take that starring role and had some great scenes. Don't think she was like 10 out of 10 in it though, and I think that'll work against her. But she doesn't get my vote, unfortunately, and my vote does go to the obvious. Sarah Snook, Succession, Shivy Shiv. She took our listeners' poll 50%. Yeah. Bella Ramsey in second with 33%. Elizabeth Moss with 17%. No love for Kerry Russell. Speaking of Scientologists as well, that's where... True. But Ray's the Scientologist, actually. There's a really interesting New Yorker profile about her. Wow. That's enough to put me off her, though, as well, sorry to say. Man, you're going to have to explain yourself, you know? I mean, just not a fan of Scientology. No, it's a horrible, I mean, we got that, but I think the listeners want more. Oh, wow. Not today. Let's do a future episode then, because I can go pretty hard on Scientology, yeah. But cool. So that's a clear one. That's open and shut, I think. Yeah, absolutely. And you know who I think... No, that would be more in comedy, but who I think should get more love in these nominations that I didn't see? Pauline Chalamet. Give it up. Never. She is a lost cause. The hill I'm dying on. She's a cell. I'm sorry. She's a cell. Next category. The final one we pulled from the listeners this time. Best actor in a drama series. How do you spell stacked? Yeah, this is actually probably the hardest one to call of the whole Emmys. And I only took the top 4 here, but then there was also Brian Cox and there was also Jeff Bridges. Yeah. For it's TV shows. Unbelievable. Yeah. Kieran Culkin, Succession. Bob Odenkirk, Better Call Saul. Or in Spanish, Better Call Saul. Saul. Nice. Pedro Pascal, The Last of Us. Jeremy Strong, Succession. It's the tightest poll we've had. So stacked. It could go to any of them. Yeah. I feel like Better Call Saul is just somehow out of the loop in terms of Emmys love. Like it doesn't, I just don't see the Emmys going against Succession and picking, and also I don't, I don't see how it could go to all of them. I don't think it can go to Pedro Pascal over one of the 2 Succession guys. Nah, but also you saw the series, he didn't like, it was good, but it wasn't like life-changingly what I take away from The Last of Us isn't the acting, isn't the writing. Well, it's the show, it's the entertainment of it. To me, still, even with now some time in between it, what I take away is episode 3, basically.
Still.
Yeah. I just think that was by far the peak of the show. Nick Offerman and our good
Armand
pal,
from the
Armand
White Lotus.
from White Lotus.
Murray Bartlett.
Murray Bartlett putting in absolute work.
No relation to Jed Bartlett.
No relation.
President of the United States in the West Wing.
States. He might have lost a bit. So I don't know where we went there. Maybe South Africa a little bit. No, but
Remember this day, boys.
remember.
That's for
tell you,
breaking my TV, bro.
that was Scottish almost. Yeah.
Yeah, that is, but that's the DiCaprio in Blood Diamond.
Yeah,
He
but-
really botches that South African.
I love the commitment though. Sorry, we're way off. So I think my point, what was my point? Oh yeah, my point is further down the list of nominees, you'll see Nick and Murray are nominated for Best Guest Actor Performance. That is a lock. One of them has it.
What the hell is that for a category?
I know.
Best guest actor performance.
Love that. I would love to know when that was started because it's so funny that there's enough of them that there's like, it's a thing, you know?
Well, we could start doing best guest listener postulations.
Absolutely. We have enough now for a stacked category. We
And
would have to
Roy
do,
is
like,
automatically disqualified.
for
just being disrespectful.
Oh yeah, true. He's definitely the most challenging of listener postulations. That's for sure. Show respect. But so this one, yeah, I think it has to go the way of Succession, and it's super interesting to know or to guess which way it's going to go. Mm-hmm. And I really can't call it other than my intuition / reading of the online buzz leans me actually towards Kieran.
But what do you want?
What
You want Kieran, your fellow countryman. Let's call him your fellow
Kieran.
countryman.
I do want Kieran. And there's also, this is very simplistic of me, but I've heard that Jeremy is a little bit too much on set. He's a little bit too...
Oh, you say that like I'm an insider. I've heard it. We've all read the
in
profile.
the industry, the chatter in the industry, we've all read the profile. And for that reason alone, and Brian Cox said the same thing, which is like, my boy, have you considered acting? This kind of thing of like, let's not over... I don't want to support so high-minded an approach to acting, right?
Yeah, he
And I
said
think-
it's a typical American behavior.
Exactly. And I think Kieran has it right, which is like he was perfectly cast for the role, smashed it, gave it his all, full commitment, amazing acting. I just think that's who I want to see win it. I don't want to give Jeremy the satisfaction of being told that his method is right, because it's not right.
Coming from
harsh but fair.
two Macbeth actors here hosting the podcast.
No, not me, but
No, you're a Macbeth technician, yeah.
You are a two-time Macbeth actor, to be fair.
It's a back.
You're a veteran of the Macbeth game.
Well, and a climber of the ladder, starting as the messenger, ending up as Macbeth.
Your trajectory is good. The trend is your friend.
You'd say so. Then
can
quite
only
a
go
fall
up.
from grace after that, but
Well, you couldn't go any higher.
no, that's true.
There
Can't
you
go
go.
higher than Well, you could. Lady Macbeth, I think, is
That's the
billed
role.
higher.
That's the role for you. Yeah.
So, I want Kieran to win.
You want Kieran, but you think...
I think Jeremy will win.
It's a shame. Yeah.
It's too good. He's too good. Like, he's the one that makes you feel the most things.
If I may. Yeah.
The show is about him, I will go as far as to say.
I suppose it is in a way. Yeah. But
Controversial.
that doesn't mean he has to win. But usually with these Emmys and the Oscars, you can even point to a specific scene where they won it, right? And with Kieran, you have that, which is the speech at the funeral, where he totally couldn't do it, but that it was like visceral. That was like, or you could even say his dad, when Logan died, that was also
Or when
top
he
tier.
confronts Madsen on top of the mountain.
Also good, yeah. So
So
he
you know
has-
where Jeremy takes it?
where
The final scene of the whole friggin' show.
I'm the eldest boy, that one.
Yeah.
That is his Emmy moment. As in, if he was going to win it, it would be on that basis, I think, for that scene. And Logan's is in episode 2 where he's like, we're pirates, that. So
Oh, by the way, spoiler alerts. Like
Yeah.
a lot of them just in the last 30. Well, whatever.
yeah.
I don't think we care anymore.
Oh, for spoilers, no. You all had your chance.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a diehard Succession fan who's like, oh no, I haven't watched it yet. Like, really? You waited like 2 months and still haven't? Yeah. So no, I have no sympathy for them. But I still think it's going to go the way of Kieran. I know you think it'll go Jeremy. You want it to go Kieran, but yeah.
Do you want to hear from our listeners, or you don't care? You're that out of touch now.
It seems as I don't care, but I actually do. I want to know. So please, what did they say?
In last place with 12%, Jeremy Strong, Succession.
Thank you, listeners.
Tied for second with 25%, Kieran Culkin, Succession, and Bob Odenkirk, Better
Ooh.
Call Saul,
This is our strong soul fan base coming through again. Yeah.
running away with 38%.
Oh no.
13% gap. Pedro
No way.
Pascal,
Really?
The Last of Us.
Jeez. Now, I guess this is what they want to win, because we didn't ask them who do you think will win, but I'd be interested, listeners, on this one. Give us your pitch on why Pedro. Like, what moment in The Last of Us stood out to you? I know he had some emotional scenes with his brother. Yeah, there's some good stuff, but like, I don't remember ever watching an episode and thinking acting masterclass here from him.
It's also, how many episodes was it? It was 8? 9 maybe?
Maybe 10. Yeah.
And he actually isn't even in all of them, right?
That is true.
He's
He's
in
barely
maybe
in
7
episode
out of
3.
9.
Yeah, true.
Your favorite episode 3.
It's
But
just
I liked
so good.
episode 3, but I think there's still a crescendo after it up until Kansas City.
Kansas City, you've been saying, yeah. It's a tough one to call.
Say.
I think I'll be proven right. Let's see. But
That's only the beginning of Emmy Mania, though.
oh, absolutely. We'll be coming back to it time and time again, I'm sure.
More and more polls. And, while we're at it, rounding out another hour of podcast recording.
Amazing.
That is 27 episodes. How do you
27
feel?
club. How do I feel? What do we believe?
What do we believe? Deep Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld.
That's a good one. Vice, if anyone wants to go back and watch. How do I feel about the podcast, about the episodes? It's like a State of the Union, a quick wrap up.
About where you are in life.
I think we're on. Wow, it's a therapy session suddenly.
Always is.
I think we're in a good place. We have all the socials up and running nicely now. We have listener postulations coming in thick and fast. We have settled into a nice flow. We have our segments sorted out. We have some great stuff. We have the pop culture tier list ready for revival. We have the ultimate celebrity interrail trip ready for revival. We have all these things in the bag.
Celebrity Everest climb.
Also, because it depends where you bring the celebrities. Probably there's other things we can bring them on. So I think we have a wealth of content in mind here. The listeners are enjoying it from what I can see. So I think we're in a pretty good place. That's my State of the Union.
I appreciate it. That's now we're gonna hear the rebuttal from the opposing party. You know, when they do State of the Union, then
please.
it goes on TV right after someone representing the other party.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Hit me. Yeah.
No, it won't be me. I agree with your State of the Union. This bipartisan approach we're having here.
Across the aisle. I love that.
And the words of a mentor of yours, Jeremy Clarkson, on that bombshell, we're gonna tune out.